Well, Mondays is the most boring day starting the week, but however, here we try to make things fun and exciting for everybody with a lot of wrestling reviews to find out what's been taking place in pro wrestling. We're going to be reviewing Deadlock Pro Wrestling, also known as DPW, with their first year anniversary that took place recently on the 17th, where we have all titles. Well, scratch that. It happened on the 10th. It was taped, but it was broadcast on the 17th. But all the titles were put on the line, and we got some special matches that took place. We also got, of course, the last show of TAKA Taichi, which is a collaboration between two Suzuki-gun members, TAKA Michinoku and Taichi, and this is the last event we ever get to see this taking place, and it's a very sad moment because, as you know, by the end of this year, Suzuki-gun will be no more. And then finally, we're going to be ending the reviews with AEW Dark Elevation with 6 matches, which are very interesting to watch. But also, we do have some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Deleted Retro Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone. All things is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, let's begin with Deadlock Pro Wrestling, DPW, with their first year anniversary show, which is pretty awesome to talk about. Our first match, we have Adam Brooks taking on LeBron um, Cozone. Very technical style of wrestling. I think that was a pretty good one. I pretty much enjoyed that type of style, but um, it seems like this was more into the favor of Adam Brooks. He picked up the win when he applied a sort of a double stomp into the chest area by to Cozone, but this is what happens later. Interesting. He tried to show respect and he attacked, of course, Kozone for no reason. But here comes Jay Malachi, who did not appreciate that. But however, Malachi Black Jay Malachi had to be in a match next against Diego Hill. That one was so fantastic. It was pretty good. Too many spots to even count. Now you probably get Diego moments where Diego thought he had Jay Malachi where he wanted, but Jay Malachi was able to divert everything and try to kick out and everything. But Diego Hill knows that he only had one weapon that he could use that could put him away, and that is of course the Malai Cutter. But it only took 2 tries for Jay Malachi to pull it off, and that's what he did. But a post match, he called out Adam Brooks. But however, that piece of garbage, BK Westbrook decided to show up and attack him. Kozone tried to help Malachi, but it did not do any favors for anybody. But he decided to turn this. This is all about me now, bitch. That's how it is. However, he put out an open challenge. He was challenged by High End. Now this became an intergender match, but High End did not take any crap from him one way or the other. Now you probably would have thought in your back head, Westbrook is going to be a piece of garbage. He's going to treat her like trash. But High End did not back down from a fight. But she was able to pick up a pretty good win onto him when with a roll up. 1, 2, 3 was over, and of course Westbrook was beside himself. He couldn't believe that he was publicly humiliated by a woman, and I think that's a good thing. He deserved it. Now our next match is sorry. Our next match is the DPW Women's Championship, or as it was dubbed, the Battle of the Queens. Now there's Ami Sakura, who is a queen herself, and then there's Rachel Rose, who's been declared as a queen at her respective promotions. However, this is more like who's gonna walk out. However, it appears that the fan base were on Ami Sakura's side, and Rachel was trying to tell her, "Can you please tell them to stop?" I think she felt that she's the true queen, but don't count out Ami Sakura. She's a veteran of the game. That's what makes her great. But Rachel Rose almost took her out with her head, but it took only a queen's gambit that finished off Rachel Rose and dethroned her, making Emi Sakura the new DPW Women's Champion. This is her first championship she's ever won in the States, and I think that's a very good thing. So we can't wait to see what else is going to take place. Keep in mind, Emi Sakura will be returning to Japan soon to participate in the Got to Move event, Arena Shinkiba. Now, our next match is for the DPW World Championship between the champion Lucky Ali. If you guys remember, Ali won that match when he pinned Kid Bandit, but Bojack was not too pleased. Now, Lucky Ali was not too happy that this match is taking place. He felt that he didn't defeat him, but however, the only problem is he did not pin Bojack. He pinned Kid Bandit. So that kind of put in a good advantage by, of course, for Bojack. But however, this match completely was like insane. You probably would have thought Bojack would have won this match due to his size. No, Lucky Ali was able to pick up the win when he applied the Snow Bunny Splash. 1, 2, 3. He beat Bojack. So now he can finally say to himself, I got rid of that moron once and for all. And of course, he was celebrating with his new faction known as Up Next, consistent of BK Westbrook and Adam Brooks. Now, our next match, I have to say, this is a classic match for me to watch. I think it was fantastic. These guys are about the same age. We got Kobe Carino, 26 years old, taking on Konosuke Takeshita, 27. I have to say, what a match. I love every match Konosuke Takeshita can deliver, and I think it's what makes it great. But you probably would have thought Kobe Carino was going to cheat. No, he played it straight up, put everything on the line, put every ounce of energy. But in the end, it was the running knee strike by Takeshita to Kobe Carino and picked up the win. And right in the end, Kobe Carino did the thing when they bow down in Japan when they lose, show the respects to guys like Konosuke Takeshita. I mean, I would love to see Kobe Carino go to Japan. I think he would have a blast down there. So yeah, so really great match. Now our next match, I believe, is well, it had Chris Danger along with the NDA, Chance Riser and Patrick Scott. Scott claims that he was sick, but however, the workhorseman couldn't be there. However, there's a reason behind it. This particular show took place on December 10th. If you guys remember, that's the same day we had Final Battle in Ring of Honor, so they couldn't be in two places at once. But however, NDA decided to throw an open challenge, and the people who answered it was none other than, of course, uh, Violence is Forever. Now, I don't think they were prepared for this. I think it was a pretty good match because it showed that Violence Forever should be the team to be carrying the tag titles, and they did. And I think it was great. But the good thing is, They got rid of Chris Danger, who's a real nuisance, but it took the chase of the dragon to put away Riser, making Violence Forever our brand new DPW World Tag Team Champions. But in the post match, they called out the one team they felt that should have been competing, but we know they will respond, and that is, of course, the Workhorsemen JD Drake and Anthony Henry. So we will see when that day comes. Now, our main event is the DPW National Title. Andrew Everett taking on Calvin Techman, who's been on an absolute tear in this match. You probably would have thought. Now, Andrew Everett saying that he is a giant. Calvin Techman doesn't believe that, but he probably would have been a big believer. But one thing was great. It took only Everett one move to put away Calvin Techman, and that is the 630 splash. Awesome move, and he becomes our brand new DPW national champion. So what I thought about the show, awesome. I enjoyed it. I give it a 10. It was so much fun. I love every match that they posted out. So you guys should check it out. It's already on Watch Pro Wrestling. You're gonna enjoy it. So right now let's move on with TAKA Taichi, uh, the last event that we're gonna see from them. Okay, Taka Taichi, 50th anniversary show, the last one we get to see from these two. Um, it gets emotional at the end, but I'll get to it. Our first, we have matches coming from the GTO promotion. We have Akira Jumonji, Fire Katsumi, Eagle Mask, and Ren Ayabe taking on Genta Yoruba, Ibuki, Ruya, Takakura, and Yoshitatsu. I thought this match was very interesting. Now, not much. I'm familiarized with certain. I am familiarized with certain wrestlers, but not 100%. I am familiarized with what's his name, with Renan Yabi, who was like a young boy. Then of course there's Eagle Mask, but in the end, in this particular match, it was a Boston Crab by Fire Katsumi um onto Ibuki that forced him to tap out. Interesting matchup, but it was really interesting. Now we got the Yoshi girls taking the stage. We have trios action taking place. Team number one, we have Isoka, Rhythm, and AOI. So they take on against Misa Kagura, aka Tam Nakano's clone, Sumika Yanagawa, and Yu Yamagata. I thought this match was pretty fun, but you can tell the bit of the aggressiveness from Yanagawa from what she can do. However, I know that many of the other Yoshi girls are not pleased seeing AOI since she aligned herself with Unagi and betraying Tomoka. But in the end, in this particular case, it was, of course, Yanagawa who picked up the win with a sort of like a Xbox move known as the X Factor, but I don't think they call it that. She calls it that, giving her the win on Izoka. Now, our next match. This is the third time these two ever faced. Excuse me. Our next match, we have this is the third installment between these two Yoshi girls. We have Zuzu Suzuki of Prominence taking on Tomoka Inaba. Now, this is the third time they face. First time Tomoka won. Um, First time in a time limit draw. Second time Tomoka lost. Suzu won that match, and now we're seeing a different scenario. But you can tell now. Zuzu is a fantastic wrestler. I've always talked highly of her, how she's a prodigy. You know, she's been the Ice Infinity champion at a young age, but she's facing the somewhat of the ace of the Yoshi girls in Just Tap Out, and I think that's pretty interesting, but however, it only took one shot, one tilt, Tomoka kick to put away Zuzu, and bam, it was over. But will we see another installment between these two? Who knows? Anything could happen, but we just gotta wait and see. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We got Tomoaki Hamna of GBH teaming up with Jun Kasai. They take on against Suzuki-gun's Doiki and Minoru Suzuki. Now, you probably ask yourselves, those, what is Tomoaki Hamna and Jun Kasai doing with each other? Well, I'm not sure if these two met during their time during Tomoaki. I know Hamna, he was involved with Big Japan Pro Wrestling, but yeah. But what I loved about this match was the back and forth between both Suzuki and Hamna. Those two went at it. They were bleeding from the nose, from their foreheads. It was brutal, but it took a chokehold for Tomoaki Hamna. Tried to hold down, but he couldn't. He completely couldn't move. Referee made the choice to end the match. Referee's decision, and that kind of sets the whole thing well. Now, our next match, we have another tag team with the guys from DDT Pro Wrestling, Damnation TA, consistent of MJ, Paul, and Daisuke Sasaki, along with Kano. They take on the other members of Suzuki-gun, El Desperado, and Lance Archer. This match was also pretty good. However, this seems like there's a rivalry between two wrestlers. That is, of course, Despi and Sasaki. Now, Sasaki always says that he is the true star, but Despi is one of the best junior heavyweights competitors as we know it. But it kind of sets the whole thing. But however, this match could have won in favor of Suzuki-gun in a much simpler faction. But if it wasn't for Kano, that cost them the match. Nope, could have cost them the match. But however, Sasaki actually used the chair and disqualified himself from the match, giving Suzuki-gun the win. But they were brawling everywhere. But whatever they said at the end looks more like we could see a singles match between Despi and Sasaki. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in a DDT wrestling event, but we just gotta wait and see what happens, and we'll just gotta pay attention. Uh, let's keep moving forward. Our next match, we have the of three, best of 2 out of 3. We got TAKA Michinoku and Hiromu Takahashi. I have to say, this match, I was impressed because Hiromu has always been one of those wrestlers that were fun to enjoy. He is someone we can talk about. But he took the first fall with a Connor roll that kind of sets the whole thing. But however, in this particular match, Taka, he tries to catch up, but however, Hiromu won again. But this time he pulled off, I don't know if it was a time bomb or whatever, but it was great. So he picked up the good win. Now our next and final match is the New Japan KOPW Provisional Trophy title between um, Shingo Takagi and versus Taichi. These guys have been going back and forth, back and forth. It's more like a never-ending story between these two. I have to say the match was fantastic. It was amazing. It showed everything that I have hoped for. And I'm a big fan of these two guys, what they were doing. And in the end, it was Shingo who won because this match had two things: Lumberjack and a last man standing. But in the end, it was Shingo who won. And in the post match he even thanked Taichi for the match and everything, pushing him to his limits. But as for what happened to Taichi, Taka says that he's grateful of Taichi that they made it this far for almost 9 years doing this, and he was grateful for them. Even Taichi felt the same way about Taka, and most important, Miho, who was by his side the entire time. He tells her that there's no need for her to be next to him anymore, and it was very emotional. And of course, here comes the other members of Suzuki-gun, but he failed to mention Kanemaru, or as people like to call him, Uncle Nobu. But Suzuki said this, that normally when it's a Suzuki-gun thing, he ends it. But he did state that since this is Taka Taichi, it's only fitting that Taichi ends it. And of course, they call Taka Taichi Ichiban. So, my thoughts about this event, I loved it. The GTO wrestlers involved, yes, all of that, but I think the most emotional part was we could that this is the last show with this, but seeing Suzuki-gun in this particular was also something special because we're almost at the end of the year. Suzuki-gun will be no more. So that's all I got to say. So let's move on with our final review, AEW Dark Elevation. Okay, AEW Dark Elevation opened up with the problem Marina Shafir taking on the top tier Jasmine Allure. Now, the reason I say that because that's who she is. We've seen her on Mission Pro Wrestling, but you can guess that this match was going to fall in favor for Marina Shafir because A, she holds nothing back, and B, she's deadly as you look at her, and finally, she knows how to put you in a submission and force you to tap out. That's exactly what she did. She used some sort of an armbar type in order to force Jasmine Allure to tap. Now, we do get an interview by Lexi Neer. This time, she tries to interview Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy, who have no clue what they're there for. However, they were planning to find out what's going on with Mark, to find out how is he doing. But of course, that weasel Stokey Hadaway sent Mark Quinn home and sent and put Ethan Page in a trio in a somewhat of a match later on in the evening. And you probably can guess this is not going to go well one way or the other. Now, our next match, we have tag team match, and we got Emmy, Sakura, the Queen teaming up with the Bunny, being accompanied by Penelope Ford, to take on Lady Bird Monroe and Gigi Ray. Now, you can guess this match ended in favor of the Bunny and Sakura. It took only a rabbit's hole to Lady Bird to finish her off, and 1, 2, 3, it was done right there. Now, our next match, this is the one I've been hoping for, the Wingman consistent Peter Avalon, Ryan Mendez, and Cesar Bernoni teaming up with the Trustbusters, Ari Davari, Sonny Kiss, and Slim J to take on Ethan Page, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Quinn. Ethan Page tried to pretend that he's the much bigger star, but however, there is someone else who's much bigger stars than them, and that is, of course, Top Flight, Dante, and Darius Martin, and of course, the biggest tag team partner is Konosuke Takeshita. This match was fantastic. Nobody wanted to tag Ethan, but I think what happened is Ethan was in shock what Konosuke Takeshita can do, but one thing led to another. It ended with Ethan Page applying the twist of fate right in his face, trying to set him up. But sooner or later, Matt Hardy will probably leave and Private Party will follow. Now, our next match, we have, of course, Steven Andrews and Hagen Shino taking on Eddie Kingston Ortiz. I had a feeling that this match was going to be very interesting because of um, Eddie Kingston has a thing of facing Japanese wrestlers, and I think it brought out, cool, I'm facing a guy from Japan. I'm hearing great stories about him, and I think that sets the whole thing. But However, it was, of course, a ghetto clutch by Ortiz to Andrews to pick up the win. Now, our next match is the ROH Women's Championship, Athena versus Fort Vix. Now, this match was pretty good. It ended with the crossface, but once again, Athena is being very, very disrespectful to her opponents once they're done, and that's it. Our main event is the workhorsemen Anthony Henry and JD Drake taking on the combat, the Blackpool Combat Club, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta. I thought this match was fantastic, but one thing led to another. We love the giant swing. As you know, we saw Jericho tap out. In this case, Claudio picked up JD Drake and forced him to tap out. What a great moment. I loved it. I thought it was a pretty good show. I enjoyed the end of it. And of course, the catch continues to impress every one of us. So I think that's pretty much it. So let's just move on to our last thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Now, as you know, we talked about recently in a special episode where we have the Triangle Derby by Stardom, and they had a press conference about it. Now, there was one particular team that was very interesting of pairing, and that is MaiHime, consisting of Himeka and Micah of DDM, where they team up with Lady C, who is from Queen's Quest. Now, this is the interesting part because it was translated on HD subs. Lady C questioned whose bright idea was it to pair her with those two, and Himeka thinks that it was Lady C who did it. Now, the reason she did that, they think it was her because A, she teamed up with Mai Sakurai during Tag League. It would make sense, but I don't think Lady C wants anything to do with Himeka. Now, Himeka says that she thinks because of this, it would consider her to join DDM. Now, this is where I get a little baffled about this. Micah didn't, when Lady C, on the other hand, as you know, she was in consideration going with DDM because last year, she was not affiliated with any unit or faction in Stardom. She was considering DDM, but because of what happened last year in the final months of 2021, Lady C was attacked by a masked silhouette to turn out to be Julia, and it gave her the consideration to rethink her decision and then make the jump to Queen's Quest. But later, since joining Queen's Quest, Micah always did criticize her, saying that she could never win the big matches and all this and that. Now, why would Micah think that she would consider joining DDM? I think they're looking for a way. They saw that if she can get along with Lady C, it could be a much better unit. Because think about it right now, DDM are struggling to survive, not survive because they're not because of their health. DDM hasn't been this strong since Sudi left, and this is something I talked about in the past. That DDM are not the same, and I think that's what Tam Nakano felt. They are not strong enough. So they thought maybe if Lady C joins, DDM will be back on the top. But I don't know if Lady C will consider that since she already made her commitments to Queen's Quest. So we'll find out soon enough. Now, you saw the shocking news that took place in Raw. We saw the reappearance of Bronson Reed, also known as Jonah. This made me wonder if this is why we haven't seen him since then. But there were talks about by Triple H that he would love to bring him back, and it would make sense. So he's now aligned himself with Miz, and now he's in the main roster, which was kind of interesting because there were talks before he was let go that he was making considerations to going to the main roster, but it never happened. But what does this mean for his faction, TMDK? Well, Shane Haste actually said that everything will be fine. There are no leaders or anything involved. So looks like the stable will continue on without him. Now, interesting developments. As you know, I mentioned Queen Aminata is in Japan. She made made recent appearance with Marvelous, but now she's going to make another appearance at another promotion, and that is Sendai Girls. It's still unclear when is it or what's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's on the 23rd or so, but we'll find out soon enough. Now, interesting developments are taking place in the DDT Pro Wrestling. Dramatic DDT, which is a news outlet that's talked about what's going on in DDT, has announced a very interesting stipulation taking place on the 29th of December. Um, there's a match involving the pheromones. Now, this is what they're saying. This is the stipulation between the pheromones and Aikido scene. If the pheromones the wins, then whoever they pin must join their unit for 1 day. Now, this is not going to be fun. Trust me. But, however, if Aikido's team win, pheromones must disband and give away their pet dogs to Shumna Katsumata for 1 month. Interesting. So, I'm kind of curious how that's going to play out. Now, in the Yoshi front, as you know, we have the last pay per view for SEAdLINNG. It's called SEAdLINNG of the Year. However, they did announce for a championship match, the Beyond the Sea title will be on the line. We have the former champion Arisa Nakajima versus Hiroyo Matsumoto. Now, if you guys remember, it was Matsumoto who accidentally injured Nakajima and she was forced to give up the title. And then, of course, Hashimoto won the tournament to become the SEAdLINNG champion. So it would make sense the reason why she would want the challenge for that belt. What else is taking place? All right, interesting developments coming from Noah. They're going to have a big show on Corkin Hall on the 20th, which is right now it's the 29th. But however, if you guys haven't seen Noah yet, this is what's going on. Matches have been announced for that particular day. This is what I discovered. We have Dektogo, Kagusawa, Takamura, Fujita, Masada, and Rongai taking on the members of Congo, consistent of Keno, Soya Manabu, uh, Hajime Ohara, Hiroki, Tadasake, and Nakajima. So that's one match. And then, of course, there's this one. We have um, Shimagazi, Omori Ikoru, and, of course, BB Hulk. They take on Masaaki Mochizuki, Akito, and Naomichi Marufuji. Then we have a three-way match. We got Ninja Mac, um, Alejandro, and of course Dante. It's pretty interesting. Then we have Eita versus Suzuki Kotaro Suzuki, and then finally this was a much interesting match. We got the ladies from the Nobads company. Um, we in the match we have Rina Yamashita teaming up with Surumi Natsu, taking on Mayuhiki and Miyuki Takase. This is the first time that Pro Wrestling Noah has a Yoshi wrestling match involved. This is the first time. I have to say, they're making history. I'm not sure if they're planning to, how to say, do exactly what New Japan are doing because Nomads, they're not a company that they normally do shows whenever it suits them. But yes, but we'll find out soon enough what's the purpose. Um, West Coast Pro has announced for the Can You Work for Fridays on the 6th of January. We have Vert Vixen taking on Sandra Moon, and of course, Alan Angels has been announced to be making Evolve. Now, for our upcoming event, we have the Wrestling Revolver, a night on the Moxbury on the 2nd of February. We have Blair Onyx and Wheeler Yuta making their debut. And then we have matches that have been announced. Ali Catch will be facing against Billy Stark. And then there's a no DQ trios match between the Rascals, Trey Miguel, um, Zachary Wentz, and Myron Reed taking on the Second Gear Crew, one called Manders, Justin, Matthew Justice, and Mance Warner. So that's going to be interesting. Tokyo Pro has announced for an upcoming title match on the 4th of January. The International Princess Championship will be on the line. We have Miyu Watanabe take on Trish Adora, so it's going to be interesting to see. Uh, Prestige Wrestling has announced for the Reality Unfolds on the 17th of December. No, the 17th of February. My bad. There's Adam Brooks will be making his appearance, but his opponent will be none other than Dragon Gate's KZ. That's going to be awesome. Then we have Black Label Pro with All Friends Are Enemies on the 18th of February. There's the Black Label Pro Heavyweight Championship. Billy Starks put the title on the line against Bryson Finley, so that's going to be interesting to see. Then we finally have Wrestling Alaska. Pro Wrestling, no WrestlePro, and they're heading back to Alaska for for a doubleheader main event that will start on the 20th and the 21st. For we have on the 20th 0 hour, and of course on the 21st Winter Rumble. And Anchorage, this is going to be in Anchorage, Alaska, at the Arctic Rec Center. And this is the matches they announced now for the 0 hour. They announced on the 20th the Pretty Proper, consistent of Lady Frost and her husband, the Savage Gentleman. What's his name? Victor Benjamin takes on Aaron West and Aurora. Don't know much about them, but it's interesting. Now for the second event for WrestlePro in Alaska, it's going to have Winter Rumble. They'll take place on the 21st. We have, of course, the 907 Pro Wrestling title between Tyler Payne and Joey Janela and Kid Money. Then we have the WrestlePro Championship Wrestling, LSG versus Bishop. And then we have Lady Frost versus Aurora. That's going to be killer right there. Now our final updates we have, of course, is GCW. We have matches involving. We have for the 56 nights on the 1st of January. We have what's his name, Matt Tremont taking on Mad Pondo. That's going to be interesting. And then of course Save Me, which is on the on the 7th of January in Chicago. We have the GCW Extreme title on the line. We have Joey Janela versus Tony Deppen. And then finally we have the Take a Picture will take place on the 21st of January in Huntsville, Alabama. We have Tony Deppen versus Adam Priest. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for now for our news updates. Let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have Tuesday Wrestling with AEW Dark, NWA Power. I'm going to presume we're continuing more with the Champion Series. And then finally, NXT. I do know we have the latest Gleech show that will be released soon on YouTube. It happened this past weekend, but I can't wait to see that. I'm still waiting for Stardom to put their latest shows that took place this past weekend. No luck yet, but we will see. Hopefully it does, but I can't wait to review that. We still got some others I haven't reviewed yet, but I'll be doing those soon enough. So I think that's pretty much it right now what we have. So I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.